All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the January 31st BOCC meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first of all, we have our minutes. Gentlemen, Commissioner Copenhaver, are you there? I see you on. Anyway, do you have any additions or corrections?
No, I do not. I would
Okay.
so move we approve the minutes of January 24th, 2023 for the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners of Montezuma County.
And I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of the Commissioners, Montezuma County, January 24th, 2023. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and we're going to deviate from our agenda just a little bit because we don't have a public hearing until 9:10, but I've got a gentleman that needs to get out of here and get to another meeting, so we're going to bring Mr. Spratlin, our emergency manager, up, and we're going to get him out of here.
Good morning, Commissioners,
Good morning.
Good morning.
and good morning to everybody else. Well, thanks for getting me on quick. So this is pretty much a quick review of what we talked about on the drought and kind of a decision whether we want to continue for another 4 months on the declaration, on the disaster of drought declaration for another 4 months, or let it run out February 4th. Looking again at the update that we got from the National Weather Service. So we're at the intensity of D0, which is at the very end of abnormally dry is the prediction. The next step up is there is no drought. So based on that, they were looking, I think during that snowstorm we had 144% snow. So that was pretty good. I think it's dropping, of course, now. No snow yesterday. Weather's getting pretty cool. And it's all dependent, you know, weather's weather. It could, yeah. So we could end up with a lot of wind and moisture drops, and we could be back in the drought again. We could go either way. We really could. It's up to you guys. If we just let it run out, we're fine. If we decide that we're seeing the conditions getting dry again, we can always reenact that with another resolution. I was talking with the attorney, so it's not a big deal.
And so here's my suggestion. If we're not in a drought at this point, or we're right on the edge, I say that we let it expire. Because, you know, when you make a declaration like a drought declaration, you want it to be taken seriously. You want it to be real. You want to be in a drought if you're going to declare you're in a drought. And so if we're right on the edge, you know, you can let this lapse. We can reinstitute it at any time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just kind of like our burn bans.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever you guys decide, if we just let it run out, we let it run out. And I don't think we need to vote on it. We just let it run out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's it.
Okay,
I'm good for this round.
good for this round?
Yes, sir, unless you want me to tell you any stories or,
No,
okay. All right. I'm good. Thank you, gentlemen.
there's no need. All right, thank you. Okay. Well, then, I guess I will bring up planning. We have two items. Obviously, it's not 9:10, so we can't have our public hearing, but I guess we could take care of our discussion for the Mancos Valley Storage.
Right, so we can move on to the variance application. Erin Johnson, the attorney, is the agent for the Lochtes.
Good morning.
So this,
Travis is really sick. Oh, are you at a meeting?
Okay,
All right.
that's not part of the application, but, this was a PUD, over on the west side of Mancos, created a long time ago. And, it's for the storage units for Mancos Valley Storage. With the PUD and the high impact permit, the, setbacks for the buildings was 30 feet. And there was 4 original, storage units built, 3. Anyway, over the course of expanding that, they encroached on the north property line of less than 30 feet. So the
Scroll down.
variance,
Scroll down, please.
26.8
the
was
variance request
Other way.
is for the setback distance of those buildings to the north property line.
Go back the
Travis,
opposite
if you'll
direction,
go to
Travis.
the
To
site
first
layout.
one.
The site
To the
layout,
First one.
so those are the existing setback dimensions on the north as well as the west to the storage buildings. The approved expansion of that PUD high impact permit, that setback will meet the 30 feet distance. It's all the existing buildings that, with the PUD updated plat, have found that those are encroaching less than 30 feet for the previous approved high impact permit.
So the new one where the concrete pad has been placed, I'm assuming that hasn't been built, but that's all compliant right now
It
anyway,
is,
correct?
yeah.
Correct.
It's just at the west end.
Yeah.
So because the alignment was slightly off on those first 3 buildings, and as they expanded to the west, they just kept that same alignment. And we didn't know it until we had it surveyed for the final PUD amendment. It's just like every fence in Montezuma County.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get it, but the fence doesn't actually mean it's the property line.
Nope.
No.
I understand that, but most people don't understand that. I mean, if you're gonna do something, you really should have pins to go by, and then that would eliminate a lot of this type of error.
Understand?
So,
We
Yeah,
just,
we
the
have
first
this-
3 buildings were in, and we just followed that same alignment.
right.
Don, what's on the neighboring properties that would be,
It's vacant right now.
There's nothing to the north,
No.
just a field, right?
Right.
And
Correct.
to the east would be
Another field.
basically the city limits of Mancos, right?
Right.
Residential, probably?
To the east, yeah.
Yeah, to the east and to
Yeah.
the west is,
Yeah, that southeast corner is a mobile home jammed in park,
yeah,
old development.
kind of a commercial overlay right there.
Mm-hmm. And CDOT did not require an amendment to the access permit. That little bit of addition there won't change anything from their perspective.
Mm-mm. I mean, how long have these units been there? They've been there forever, haven't they?
Long.
The original 3?
Mhm.
The original 3 aren't a problem. It's the addition of those, but that was over the course of the last 8 or 10 years.
Yeah, okay. All right. Questions?
No.
I mean, I don't,
I don't see anything wrong. I would so move we approve the variance application for Mancos Valley Storage submitted by Will and Sandra Lochte, agent Erin Johnson, on property located at 40575 Highway 160 BR, Mancos, Colorado.
okay, and I'll second it. Any further discussion? Nope. All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve a variance application for the Mancos Valley Storage submitted by Will and Sandra Lochte, is that correct?
Lochte.
Lochte? Agent Erin Johnson on property located at 40575 Road 160 BR, Mancos, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. There you go. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Have a good day. All right, it is 9:10 by my computer here, so we do have a public hearing. And with that, would you go ahead and call the roll?
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here?
And Commissioner Copenhafer.
I think he bounced off, so
Not here.
not here.
Should I read the? Okay. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed two-lot moderate subdivision and rezoning application submitted by Andrew Gassner on property located at 16920 Road 20, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 11 acres, more or less, located east of Road 20, south of Road T, situated in Section 24, Township 37 North, Range 17 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, January 31st at 9:10 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main Street, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be attained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgov community.com/public/home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801. Dated this 21st day of December, 2022. Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County. Published in the Journal on Wednesday, January 18th, 2023.
Okay, thank you, Melinda. All right, Don, do we have the applicants here?
Yes,
Come
Mr.
on.
Gassner's here.
Come on down. Morning.
So the
Okay.
Gassners are looking to split their 11 acres into a 4-acre and 7-acre parcel, so they're creating a two-lot moderate. Existing residents, utilities, everything would be remaining on the 4-acre parcel to the west, and then the new 7-acre parcel is where they're proposing a new residence. Planning and zoning was unanimous to recommend it for approval. No issues, no conditions.
Okay. Commissioner Lindsay, question?
No, looks like accesses are provided, setbacks are good.
Well, I was just gonna bring that up. So your horse barn looks like it's getting pretty close to that. So just a FYI for you, make sure that you actually know where that's at prior to, before constructing that, so that we don't have to deal with variances again. So the setback codes are in the land use code. Please be aware of all of those before you encroach on something else. This is absolutely new construction, and make sure that you're at least compliant with those.
Okay, will do.
Okay.
I'm planning on working with contracting company that will know all those codes and everything.
Well, I understand that, but ultimately, it's your responsibility. You're the owner of the property.
Okay.
So, I just, you can see what we just dealt with prior, and it's still very good for you to be aware of what those are, to make sure that those are compliant, because the contractor's not gonna come back in and get a variance for you. You have to come back in. So, just a FYI, but everything looks, other than that, looks very straightforward and very good.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, all right. Any other comments before I open up for a public comment?
No?
Okay. All right, well then I will open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, you may come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board at this time. Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public comment session of this hearing, and I will bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioner Lindsay.
I have nothing further.
Okay,
I would so move we approve the proposed two-lot moderate subdivision and rezoning application submitted by Andrew Gassner on property located 16920 Road 20, Cortez, Colorado.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed two-lot moderate subdivision and rezoning application submitted by Andrew Gassner on property located at 16920 Road 20, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 11 acres more or less. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes, and I'll close this public hearing. There you go, sir.
Thank you
Good to
very
go.
much.
Yep.
Is the survey done on that? Yeah, I didn't know if they beat the snow or not. And then the only other item that we discussed previously, the Gardeners had a proposed PUD application that was scheduled December 6th. It was continued to today, but they have since withdrawn that application, so just an FYI for anybody and everybody that might have been tracking that application's withdrawn, so that's not moving forward.
Okay. Well, very good. Is that all you have for us?
That's all we got.
Thank
Gosh.
you.
Okay, well, thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, it is now public comment session time. The Board of County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Person speaking during public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments, and comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time to other. With that, public comment session is open.
Good morning, lady and gentlemen. My name is Mike Lynch, and I live at 21730 Road S. I would like to offer you some constructive criticism this morning. I hope that you do not infer by my comments to be an attack or worse, a suggestion of illegality or any wrongdoing. In your December 27 meeting, you approved 4 orders to transfer monies between accounts in the budget. The cumulative amount between these orders was about $1.5 million. This amount represented about 2.8% of the 2022 original budget total. There were very little explanations given or justification given for these transfers. I understand that you are in charge of approving any movement of monies between accounts, and such movements are sometimes necessary and even planned and anticipated ahead of time. I also understand that you deal with budget issues constantly and are probably well informed as to why certain transfers are necessary and what they are intended to accomplish. Your management and oversight of the budget results in a high level of familiarity, which does not necessitate including written explanations with the actions you take when transferring monies from one account to another. But the citizens of Montezuma County are only exposed to what is and what becomes public record. The only information we have to form our opinions on are those public records. When money transfers occur, the first question that comes to mind might be why? And then I ask myself, was this movement of money justified? Other questions start coming to mind, like, was there too much money budgeted for a category? Was there not enough money budgeted for another category? What percent of that category's budget is represented by this amount of money being transferred? After the transfer, what percentage is the receiving category above or below its budgeted value? Was this a planned transfer fulfilling the requirements of a pass-through transaction? And if so, what percentage of the expected pass-through total does this transaction complete? I understand that explanations of money transfers just adds time and effort that the county administration will not benefit from. And you, ladies and gentlemen, may also believe that adding words of explanation to money transfer orders is no measurable benefit. I am not here to convince you otherwise. I am only here this morning to suggest you consider my point. With inflation adding to expenses, with revenue streams from oil and gas taxes on a decline, and with considerations being made to adopt additional taxes to make up the differences, you've already acknowledged that tough choices will have to be made in the future. I am suggesting that the more you are able to keep the public informed, the easier it will be for the public to understand the available options that exist to solve our county's budget problems. It has been said that transparency is the weapon against corruption, but I am suggesting that transparency could also be your friend as you struggle to meet the demands of our county while staying below or even increasing the revenue streams to pay them. Basically, I'm suggesting you consider adding verbiage to such orders as if you were explaining to a voter why the order is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Are we at the fire operations? You guys will be next. You were still in public comment. But don't sit down. Because it looks like we have no further public comment. So I will close the public comment session of this, and we're going to move right into the Montezuma County Fire Operations Plan discussion and decision. Mr. Logan Davis and Charles Lanow? Lanow? I was close. You guys can sit, stand, whatever works for you.
Commissioners, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
As mentioned, my name is Logan Davis. I'm the local battalion chief with the Division of Fire Prevention and Control. This morning,
Real quick, can you turn your mic on real fast? There you go. Thank you.
thank you.
Pull it close.
Thanks for the coaching. For your review and discussion this morning is a proposed amendment to the Montezuma County Operating Plan. This plan reviews how the county fire protection districts and federal land management agencies participate together in wildland fire operations. The proposed amendment would be to dissolve a 1-mile jurisdictional boundary for a mutual aid response to wildland fires. The proposed amendment opens the mutual aid response to being a county-wide and puts the responsibility to have that response to the discretion of the fire protection district chief or duty officer for the agency. This would incur no cost to the county and obligates no funds to any party to the agreement, and really opens up more options for response. This is already taking place in other parts of the state. Our neighbors to the north in Dolores County practice this effectively for a multitude of years now as well. This is how we handle aviation assets in the wildland fire arena. If there's any questions or if there's anything you'd like further details on, I'd be happy to entertain those.
You know, I don't, Logan, and thank you for the conversation the other day. You know, my only comment, not really, or question was, why did we ever have a 1-mile zone when not giving it to the authority of the responding district, fire district anyway? If you guys are close and in the area, I mean, it just makes sense to get the fire out quicker than, oh, they're 1.1 mile away. We can't utilize or call those guys for help. That doesn't, why was that ever in there? And you may not be able to answer that, but I think it's a great idea that if you're closer in the area that the quickest responding fire unit be able to get to the fire and put it out. That's what'll stop wildfires, not if you're within, you know, your jurisdiction or not within this. So countywide makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it was, at one time, it was jurisdictions and districts and all that. One time, there was a fine line between federal and state agencies and fire districts. And at one time, they said, let's go to 1 mile. So it overlapped for 1 mile, and now these guys are putting it countywide, which is a good program.
Now, you may not be within that mile, you may be totally out of range, but if
Yeah.
you are, it makes sense to get the closest responding unit.
Great points, Commission. I think the intent here, and again, I apologize to state my name, I'm Charles Lanou, I'm the Southwest District Chief for Division of Fire Prevention and Control. The intent here is we're seeing billing discrepancies. We're seeing bills coming in from our federal partners a year to 18 months later for a fire that may be 1.1 mile either side of jurisdiction. And it's hard to plan for, right? It's hard to make an ear note on our line item, you know, saying, hey, we've got this, when in reality, you know, if Cortez Fire Protection District wants to help, you know, the Bureau of Land Management out on Goodman Point, and it's 1.1 mile, you know, Cortez Fire would still have the option to have folks on scene available at their discretion, right? And if they don't have the availability, they don't have the availability. And I think we're finally to a point now with relationships and reporting is one of the big things that, you know, fires get put out and don't get reported. So, you know, that often drives the revenue streams and budget priorities. So I think it's a good step in the right direction. You know, it doesn't sidestep any of the notification process, any of, you know, how we do our ordering, et cetera. It just gives us that option to keep fires small without obligating any funds. And we lose the paper trail because we're already doing it with our aviation assets in the state of Colorado per the Stafford agreement. So I think it's a big step in the right direction with your support. We'll look to get it executed and out.
Yeah, very good. I definitely don't have any questions. Commissioner Copenhaver, I see that you're logged back in. Do you have any questions? Okay,
Sheriff Nallen, have you looked at this?
he signed off on it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Any comments before we proceed?
No, Jim, I'm fine with it. It's not, I don't have any problem with it.
Okay,
That's-
thank you,
If the
Commissioner.
fire districts don't have any problem with their jurisdiction being that's fine with me.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Sorry, Steve, you want to, you're,
Yes, I saw this and it makes sense. It does. It's going to make it a lot easier for us moving forward because of those. It's really the reporting and arguing about whose fire is what.
Yeah.
Gee, many Christmas. I'm telling you, this will be easier. Okay, just get rid of it. Yeah. Thanks.
it's all in our county, I guess. It's all ours. So, yeah.
I would so move, we sign the amendment to the Montezuma County Operating Plan.
And I will second it. It's been moved and seconded to sign the amendment to the Montezuma County Operating Plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You bet.
You bet.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
gentlemen.
Okay. Next on our agenda, we have our treasurer, Miss Ellen Black.
Nope.
Down here. Okay, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Great. How are you?
Doing good.
Good.
And I don't really have anything, I don't have my usual report that I do in February. This is a little earlier than I usually come in, so I'll get that to you next month with the end of year stuff. And otherwise, we've just been rolling along, sending out tax bills, and I'm sure everyone was excited about that. And that actually went really smooth, so that's good. Haven't really made any major changes in the office this year, just trying to make everything work the way it should, and it's been going pretty smooth, so that's all good. Interest rates are going up a little right now, so we're gonna try to do that. As we know, it's kind of been on a decrease since COVID, especially 21 was a huge decrease, but we're increased for 22, so we kind of made up back to where we were in 2020, so that's kind of good. So that's kind of where that is. It looks like rates will be pretty good for a while, and then maybe not so good. So that's kind of what we're planning to, you know, we've got some 3% rates, whereas all of last year was about 1.5, some a little better.
So we average about 2 maybe overall?
I would say
or-
1.7, not quite 2.
Okay,
Yeah, it took a pretty good dive.
which is
over the
quite a bit
last-
down.
Yes, it is. So that's gonna pick up a little bit. We'll try to take some advantage of that, but then a lot of it's short-term too. They don't wanna,
Is most of that still in Call of Trust?
yes, a lot of it is, and we like Call of Trust because of the ease of using it. I mean, it's easy, it's available, but the rates are way more fluctuating. So if you have a CD, you'll get a better long-term result, but, so we have some of that too. We have a
Okay.
little bit of everything.
What about our local financial institutions?
Yep, that's where we get the best rates on CDs, and we like those, but then your money's locked up, so, you know, we try to do that with what we can and not leave too much there, but not, you know, we do like to get the good rate there, so that's what we like to do. We have most of the local banks, we have something there, and they're really good to us as far as the way they handle our accounts and the things we have to do. They're really good, so that's helpful. You guys have any questions for me?
No, thank you for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. And I think
I don't, the only comment that I have is that, remember, our treasurer is just the treasury. She collects all of the taxes for all 48 overlays of taxes in Montezuma County, whether you're a fire district, a hospital district, a cemetery district, a water district, a school district. It all comes into the treasury. So Montezuma County, at the bottom of your bill, when you get it, don't just look at the bottom of the bill. I challenge every one of you to realize what you are paying for on your tax roll. And then look at what county general gets and what road and bridge gets, and realize what we actually operate this county on an annual basis. So we always get this, well, you know, I paid $1,000 to the county. Well, we're the treasurer. We collect it all and we distribute it. We don't keep that money except for those little bitty items at, you know, wherever they at on your tax roll. So it's just an education piece right here. I'm not going to give it up. I have the opportunity to do it, but I challenge everybody listening out there and everybody in this room, look at your tax bill and know what you're truly paying, so that, as was presented this morning, as things get tighter, realize what we function on as a county and a road and bridge department, and what we have to do with the funds that we have. So, again, with everything that you're paying, with every overlay, fire district, water district, hospital district, like I said, realize what there is to operate with, so.
Good point.
The treasury is the distributor of funds, and she holds them all, so.
Yes, and we distribute those monthly to all those taxing authorities. So they're getting their money monthly, and, you know, we're planning for that too. But I do think it's a really great idea for everyone to know that, you know, that's why you have a hospital, that's why you have emergency services, fire stations, and
School
obviously the
districts.
sheriff, the school districts, that's a huge one. So that is how we operate. And so,
Okay.
good point. All right, thanks,
All right,
guys.
thank you. All right, now we're gonna talk to the lady that actually assesses, the assessor, Miss Bug. Good morning.
Well, the assessor's office is just rolling like normal. We're starting reval. Hope to have that done into the printer by mid-March. Takes about 3 to 4 weeks once we send it to the printer to get the notices printed out, of value and sent out. I have some more secure numbers by then also to kind of know where we're at with the deductions and the property assessment rates, and then also the $15,000 and the $30,000 deductions value per commercial and residential property. And until I get reval set, I won't even know what the values are to take the deductions off of yet.
I think you need to turn your mic on, ma'am.
Wait on that.
And when you're talking about the deductions, those are the new deductions of the 15,000, would you explain those to
So the
public?
$15,000 deduction is off of all residential properties, off of the total actual value, so you'll see a $15,000 deduction. And then on all commercial properties, you'll see a $30,000 deduction off of the actual value. And that's just countywide, statewide properties. If you do have a mixed-use property, it'll be a $45,000 deduction off of your actual value. Values will not be reduced lower than $1,000 of assessed value. So any properties that would fall under that category will not receive the deduction. So they still have to have at least $1,000 of assessed value after the deduction happens to be able to receive it. So I have to go through and weed out all those accounts and make sure they're not dropping below the $1,000. So,
Okay.
did you have a chance to look at the contracts?
We did, but
Any
we
questions?
chose to not sign this last week. We actually wanted,
Oh, yeah.
because we knew you were gone at training.
Mhm.
So we felt that it was better to have you here in person to go over this contract with us. Obviously, we've all read it. It looks like it's basically
Same.
the same contract as we sign every year.
Yep.
But I'll let you go ahead and give a quick synopsis of it for the public.
The first contract is Task. Task is the company who we contract with to provide value for our personal property oil and gas accounts. Since we do have the largest sum of our production and personal property for oil and gas is Kinder Morgan, which is CO2. The bells are not, they do not give value for the state recommendation bells do not give us value for the CO2 production and personal property equipment, so that's why we had to outsource a contractor for those. And the Value West is our commercial property appraiser. He does all of our commercial land and building assessments for the county.
I looked at both of these contracts. They're both, I don't have any issues with either.
You have the original?
I would so move we sign the contracts with Value West and also Task, TASC, for contract for services for the assessor's office.
Second.
Voice from out of thing.
Been moved and seconded to accept and sign the contract with Value West and TASC for contract services for the assessor's office. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Sorry.
So I have one last question before you leave. What did you find out up there? What's going to change significantly or insignificantly?
Well, pretty much what we knew to be going on with the 15 and the 30%, that's still a go. As far as the reimbursement from the state, I think that's on an individual entity's basis, depending on how their mill levy is, if they debruced, if they have ability to float their mill levy. All those are gonna come into play, depending on the increase in our assessments. If we go over 10%, that's then again on an individual basis. I know the county doesn't have a floating mill levy, but some of the other entities, I do believe, have floating mill levies. So we're just gonna have to kind of do a little bit of more homework on what we can and can't do for reimbursements. As of now, we're on schedule to do a regular reappraisal. Once that goes out, there could be the possibility of another bill being signed and put into effect that could make us undo what we're getting ready to do, and then just have a set percentage increase on all property values. We won't know that probably, honestly, until we send out notices of value, and then we'll probably have to send out some sort of notice saying, disregard, we're going to be sending out a new value.
So do you
If
think
that
that bill will
passes.
actually make it? Because that was a part of our conversation also.
We did talk about it for a long time, and I would say the majority of people at the state feel like something's going to happen. Maybe not the 5% increase, the 5% set per, increase, but they do feel that something is going to happen. They'll probably take that bill and tear it apart and come up with other things, add more stuff in, take more stuff out, but they do feel like something's gonna happen.
Okay.
Which one? No.
I was curious.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully we get it resolved sooner than later.
Yeah, everything's just kind of up in the air.
Because otherwise you're gonna have to send out all those valuations again,
Mhm.
which is just another huge cost to us.
Yes, and a whole nother protest period.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
so hopefully sooner than later.
What's it?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what it cost you to send those out?
It's right at $10,000. And I only budgeted for one time this year. I wasn't planning on doing 2 revals. So, just have to see what happens.
All right. Thank you, Leslie. All right. Next up, we have Sheriff's Office. Steve.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good
Morning.
morning.
I don't know what's going on.
Let me try it again.
Yeah, thanks for coming. We'll see you next time.
Is it connected?
Says it's connected. Well, what the heck? Couldn't connect. Okay, why?
Want me to try it a third time?
Let's try. Jeez. Everything used to go so well.
Do you have them, Travis, on your screen? You can
Says
just
it's connected.
scroll through them real quick.
Which ones would you like first, Sheriff?
Let's go with the calls for service in December, please.
January, December?
December, yeah. It's an Excel spreadsheet. For the month of December, we had 1,450 calls for service. And at the bottom, you can see what the fourth quarter of 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022 showed for totals. So we're right, fortunately, right in line there. There it is. And we had 40 civil service processes. That's starting to increase quite a bit. Livestock at large, 23 calls, 9 were on the roadway. 112 VIN inspections for the clerk's office.
Are most of those being done by the officer that we have over there
No,
now, or
Not,
they
not
still
most of them.
just
no.
at large?
He definitely takes a large chunk, but it's the rest of us that do these inspections.
Everywhere else?
Yeah. Yeah, at
Anywhere,
the
everywhere.
office, wherever they may be, yeah. If we go to calls for service for the total year, Travis? Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and talk about it until they put it up. What's that?
Are you on Microsoft Display, you 292?
Says I'm connected to Montezuma County
We have them
Guest.
all,
Is that what it should be?
have them.
Yeah.
Escape. Windows and the K button.
In the K?
It's so small you can't read it.
That's, yeah. I know.
Disconnect.
That's
from-
new.
Try it again. Okay, it's supposed to be
I think if we're having trouble with them guys, this is all just informational anyway. Let's go ahead and just get to what we have to do to make a decision on today. And I think really what we had left, Steve, was the contract.
Calls for service for the year, if you would. I think this is important that you get that 17,917 calls for service for the year of 2020 from January 1 to December 31st. In 2021, there were 17,175, and 2020, 19,114, which was the most we've had.
Back to almost 2019.
Yeah.
Just a little less. That's good.
For the jail report, we have transports for the total for the year. There were 10 in December, total of 123 for the year. 11 were juveniles. Total miles were 54,219, and total hours was 2,074 and a half. For per diem costs for these transports, total of 66 deputies were used throughout the year from January through December. Per diem amount $1,137. Hotel costs $1,706. Total cost $2,844. And that comes out of the transport line item in the budget. For the month of December, 219 total incarcerations. The highest number of days for arrest was 6 in both December the 14th and the 16th, and the most released was 8 on the 12th. Those are calculated, as you saw in the report there, daily. The number of male and female. Total population today in the jail is 74. The highest that we had in the month of December appears to be 69. No, excuse me, 75. That was on December the 30th. So a combination of all the arrests in the month and for the year, 1,965. City of Cortez was billed for 16 incarcerations at $100 a day. That's 1,600. For Dolores County, 51 days, $5,100 was billed to Dolores County. For Department of Corrections, we had a total, the most that were there were 19 days. 3 inmates were held for 19 days. So there's 80 days at $100. They were billed $8,000 for reimbursement. For the total expenses of the month, with that, non-reimbursable prisoner costs was $185,700 for the month of December. For fees that came into the sheriff's fees that were deposited into the treasury, $162,013.95. Questions about the jail report?
Nope.
Okay.
Other than one you're not gonna tell me we're gonna ever receive from the DOC, so
You know,
I'm tired of asking the question.
you and me both. I'm sorry. Don't have any control over that. We've tried, haven't we? It's crazy. Can you put up the Dolores contract budget for 2023, please? After receiving the end of the year December expenditures, I was able to complete a lot of these budgets that are carried over or new for 2023. So the 2023 budget is going through by contract is $220,000 annually. This is the breakdown of what the costs will be. And what was unexpended was $3,902.29. So for 2023, their monthly payments to the treasurer will be $18,008.
And do we still have the part-time guy over there in the summer?
In the summertime, that's why
So
you
the
see an increase.
5 months? Is
It's about 4
5
months.
4 months?
Yeah.
So
And
we
that's
have-
what put them in the hole there for 10,000. There were more days used, and so using that to adjust for this year's budget is why that is increased up to 120,000 in that line item. As well as the fringe benefits are increased. Dispatch fees also have been increased, 2,000. So that's 32,000 for Dolores's part of the dispatch fees. So I need to see if I can ask for you to approve the 2023 budget for Dolores. I'll present that to the town and board in a week or so.
Question?
No. I would so move we approve the budget for Montezuma County for the town of Dolores for sheriff services.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept and sign the Montezuma County Sheriff's budget for the Dolores contract in the amount of $220,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Can you go to the casino contract? Please. We received grant funding this year for the casino, which is $75,000 per year. Adding that to this, now I understand there's going to be a vehicle that is purchased as well as other equipment that will be purchased through the casino contract. Total amount that we have for this year is $241,567. That money rolls over every year. A lot of the vehicle expense is going to incur the fuel as well that is used.
So I have a question on this one, and obviously, Ian, have you looked at this contract? Because the contract that was provided is the older contract, or is this the newer, is this the most recent contract that we have? Have you looked at
That
this?
is.
I have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is.
So I guess my question is we're providing 2 deputies down there, right? From my understanding, or what? I guess where I'm going at, is this actually enough to provide what we are actually doing
yes.
down there?
Oh, yes. And as you can see, there's carryovers. It's more than enough. The thing is that when they have special events down there, it pays for that down there, for the deputies that are used. Also, the daily casino escorts. There's a lot of money that's transported. The other thing is they provide a vehicle every 3 years.
Yep.
Because of the last couple of years, we're behind. We have a Tahoe that's been ordered, and as soon as that'll replace our transport, that's what we're using in our transport is the Tahoe that they provide, that they pay for. Their general managers change so often that we haven't been able to sit down and revise this contract, and that's why it's just continued. But
So
we are looking at
my
it.
question is, with the new general manager, wouldn't it be prudent for us to sit down and actually revisit this contract before? I'm a little leery on, I mean, my other 2 commissioners may not be, but I'm a little leery of signing this right now because I think we should renegotiate this contract with the new general manager. It takes a lot of our resources, and I realize that we're charging them for that, but is it truly enough, is my question.
Oh, this is definitely enough.
Okay.
It is. Or I would have been saying something about it long before.
So-
$75,000 a year is what's deposited into the county
So
treasury.
where's our dispatch fees that we're paying dispatch fees that still go down there, because I don't see that?
Right.
And we have dispatch fees in every other line item for everything because that's the biggest user. We are still the biggest user of that dispatch center. So I don't think it's valid. I'm not comfortable with it at this
Well,
point
they're
in
not,
time.
they're not the users of the dispatch.
I understand
We
that,
are.
we are, but there's no fees associated with this budget for that, is
Mhm.
where I'm at.
Sure.
So every time we get a call, we're charged that X amount, whatever it is this year, because obviously our rates went up again.
Right.
So if it's not there, why is it not there?
Well, I can
Is my
certainly add
question,
that line
so-
item in there, but we can also take at least $10,000 out of operating in that too. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not comfortable today. I think we need to have a workshop, maybe a little more discussion on this, but I have two other commissioners that can override me for sure.
When was the last time you revisited this with them, Steve?
Oh, that was back in 2015.
Okay, I think we need to.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yep.
we're finding that a lot with a lot of our stuff. It's
Yeah.
got some dust on it.
Well, you know, for no more than what we do for them, I mean, $75,000 a year that adds to that we don't expend every year either is something. So, but yeah, it's definitely something that we can look at. I can put in a dispatch line item fee and figure out what those costs are, but it's going to be close to about 10,000 is all. Because there's also fees that, out of the Gaming Impact Grant that also pay for patrols down there as well
Mm-hmm.
because of that. So not trying to overdo what we do for them.
Okay. I just still, if it's 2015, it's 2023, and
Almost
like,
10 years.
like we've been having with all of these other contracts, it's just not, we need to look at it and really go through the whole thing. And it may be perfectly fine, but I'm not comfortable today. I'm not comfortable today doing it, but I can be overridden too.
No, I think we need to take a look at it just to dot the T,
Sure.
dot the Ts and
Well, we
cross the
definitely
Is.
need to revise the
Specifically with new
contract.
management,
Yeah.
another new manager.
Well, they change, like I said. It's almost
Yeah.
like every year.
Right.
And it's hard to nail down when we can do it. The last couple of years, because of COVID and whatnot, we just haven't been able to do anything. And we couldn't replace the vehicle as well either. So every bit of that cost for that vehicle comes out of that
So
contract.
why don't we put Steve on a work session and we can actually refine these, because if there are more like this, we actually should do that.
More like this.
So commissioners, just for clarification, you're talking about refining the terms, the amounts of money. Is that, am I
Well,
understanding that
In terms
right?
of amount of money, I mean, like I said, I don't.
'Cause-
It may be,
Because I think the terms as far as legally our duties and their duties are pretty well defined in that contract. So really, I guess what we'd be looking at, just so I have some clarification too, as we look at
It's
this.
the dollar value, because
Okay.
again, like I said, our dispatch center, our fees continually rise. I mean, this year, we just got hit with another almost $700,000 with equipment. And they told us to start planning for that, because every 3 years, it's obsolete. And, which I realize is another fund that we utilize, which is the E911 fund. However, there are no fees that this budget is putting forth at all. So I'm just a little concerned that we're not.
I
That's my
understand.
concern.
Yeah, I just,
I'd rather sit down. I don't feel comfortable making this decision today, because I don't think a 10-year contract is what we should be looking at.
A
That's just-
10-year contract?
Just my 10-year-old,
Oh, okay. That's like, well,
no,
yeah.
10-year-old
Sure.
contract.
That's fine. We definitely need to move on it before the end of February.
Yeah, and we
Okay.
can set it up for next Monday.
Okay.
So if you
Okay.
want to add that, does that work for you?
That's fine.
Add that, Travis, to the workshop.
That's fine. Whatever. If you put up the gaming impact grant budget for 2023. This year, we received 118,000 out of that grant project, number 22-014. We received that November the 8th of last year. That award letter was presented forward to county finance. So finding what the unexpended amount was in 2022 and adding the 118,000 in there. Again, this is paying for the patrols that take place because of gaming impact, as well as the RMS database that DOLA has agreed that that's what started it all paid for anyway. They paid for a lot of that out of that bill, and that's roughly about $50-some-odd thousand to $80,000 a year. So I split that between the casino and gaming, as well as the sheriff and the Dolores contracts.
Okay. Questions?
And as you can see, there's a vehicle expense added in there for $18,000 this year. And that'll remain in there every year.
And this is a one-year contract or a 3-year contract?
It's 1 year.
So, again, I have questions on the vehicle. $18,000 a year, how do we project that cost? If we project it at our cost of $62.50 a mile, is the $18,000 covering it? I realize it's a grant, but when we have rollover costs that I'm seeing at the top, is that? I would rather put these on a workshop and talk about these. It's 1 week. I just don't, I'm not gonna make a decision today because I think there are questions that we have, or I have.
Yeah, I want to get better founded in this, where we're at. You don't mind if we put it off a week and discuss it?
That's fine.
Educate me a little bit?
And we'll do it Monday. Steve, we can do it right away.
That's fine. Do you want to put all the other ones in there too?
I think we should.
That's fine.
Because
That's fine. If you put up the dispatch fee, please. $315,000.85 is what we were billed. 296 was budgeted into LAA. So understanding that there's a lot of budgets that I have that also contribute to paying for that.
Right.
Okay?
Understand that.
All right. Could you put up the stat sheet, please? For the drug task force. Yep. If you go down to the middle there, you'll see toward the bottom of what we've seized. We have 15 people that have been indicted federally for importation of methamphetamine, heroin, fentanyl, cocaine, and LSD, as well as firearms that were stolen. So methamphetamine, there was 2,237, almost 238 grams that were seized, 3.5 grams of heroin, 9,606 fentanyl pills, cocaine, 38.5 grams, 30 grams of marijuana, $20,689 in cash, 39 firearms, over 1,000 rounds of ammunition, and 4 stolen vehicles. There will be a release. Oh, did it quit? Oh, can you tell? Okay. I didn't hear that. So, as you can tell, there is, that was just toward the fall. There's more that has happened since then as well. These 15 indictments, they're looking anywhere from 15 to 60 years, minimum mandatory sentences in U.S. court. Questions about that? On the special events at the fairgrounds, are you sure this thing's working? Anyway, there we go. when you have contracts for things, such as liquor licenses and things, can I be part of that discussion? Because I need to know whether or not I have the resources and what fees are going to get paid to pay for them. Okay, that's all I ask. I don't know what, I mean, I'm usually caught left-handed because I don't know what's going on.
Well, they are supposed to, when they put their application in, have already contacted you prior to ever getting to the
Yeah.
BOCC. So if that's failing,
That's
if
not
that
happening.
process is failing,
Yeah.
then yeah, we need to look at that and
Yeah,
refine
yes.
that also, because really we only have a few special event liquor licenses out there.
Okay, well, we had
And
quite a
it's
few
typically
last
the
year.
rodeo, the fair, the,
Is Ag Expo in there?
No.
No. Seems like everybody had a liquor license last year.
There
I
was
don't know.
only- there was
There
only
was a
a
lot during the
few.
fair.
Yeah, there was the proposed concert.
Yeah. So like I told you.
But yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I never got, LEA never got reimbursed for that. That was all paid for that, out of that. That's where that money comes from, to pay for these deputies. So, but anyway, I
So
just
bring
need to
that
know.
up again Monday, because we also need to refine that. I remember that you asked the Fair Board where that reimbursement was last time, which
Right.
I don't know if we've gotten with the
I
Fair
never
Board,
got
but when they have a concert, that has to be reimbursed to, out of their budget to your
Right.
budget for that
Yeah.
service.
Yeah. So that's money's being paid up front for the deputies, and it needs to be reimbursed.
Right, but they are, through that application process, supposed to be getting with you prior to bringing it to us.
Okay. Well, that's, just so long as you know what's going on, and so long as I can know what's going on, that's all I ask, ahead of time. That would help. I don't know where we're at with the race car track or anything. I don't know anything about that yet, so when that does come about, if you could let me know what to expect.
That contract is ready to be signed. We haven't signed it yet, but we've approved it. It's just waiting on the signing of the,
Yeah, there were a couple small details that the promoter in the racetrack was needed to work out, and so as soon as he signs it, then Justin will bring it back before us, and we can
Right.
approve it.
but that,
Yeah,
we
we did
didn't-
okay last year.
we didn't
with
change anything in there. That still should be provided. I
Okay.
think it's the 2 deputies out there for the race.
Yeah, okay. Well, the last thing I have is the intergovernmental agreement for the dispatch services through Montezuma and Dolores counties. This is the dispatch contract. You can sign it at any time. I just need to make sure I get it back so I can present it at February's dispatch meeting. That's all.
And you're-
Commissioners, I've looked at this, but as long as we're gonna be discussing sheriff's contracts next Monday, let's
Do it all
let's
Monday.
do it all at one time.
Okay. All right.
Approve it next Tuesday.
Huh?
Approve it and sign it next Tuesday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, doesn't matter to me. Okay, thanks.
I
Anything
mean,
else?
we don't have anywhere else to go.
Not yet.
Well,
Not yet.
right now, we have no place else to go. So, all right.
At least it's not 3 years.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
Right.
I would totally think that. And it'd be annual.
Okay. So we can discuss that on Monday too. We'll go over all those other contracts. So we're gonna wait 1 week. Sorry, but thank you. All right. All right. Next we have our SHS update. Ms. Gentry, Ms. Leonard, and Ms. Gates, correct?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good.
Good. There you go.
There we go.
Red light's on, you're good to go.
Good. We had an interesting year, last year at the hospital, and we want to just kind of summarize that for you and give you the rundown of our financials as well. Overall, we are doing well. We are trying to hire a number of physicians. We have had a few that left or went to part-time or something like that. And so we have a number of things that we need to fix over, with our physician supply. But we're getting there, and we're hopeful that we will fill all of those positions this year. There's between 6 to 9 positions, depending on a couple of things this year that we're trying to hire of providers. So that's quite a bit of what we're focused on. We're trying to grow and add some services this year, especially looking at cardiology, because the people that come here just aren't here enough. So those are kind of some of the highlights. We brought to you a financial summary of the year, and it hasn't been audited yet. And we also brought the list of the new officers. Our board had their annual meeting in December and elected new officers for the hospital. So,
Who is your new president and vice chair? Oh, got it.
it's right there. Yeah, Shirley is now the chair, and Susan Weiss and Sean is our secretary treasurer.
Okay, thank you.
We are trying to find many different people we've talked to about adding to the board. We can have up to 7. We don't have to have more than we have right now, but we would like to. So anybody that you can suggest to us, we're open.
Any qualifications for being a board member?
No, just available a little bit throughout the month for different meetings, and interested in healthcare.
Do you have to be resident of Montezuma County?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a couple of people that live up towards Dolores, and a couple of people that live right here in town. And Shirley's over in Mancos. So, okay, Julie's going to go over the financial statements if you'd like.
I'll do I'm Julie Leonard. Excuse me. I'll do the quick version. I put lots of pretty pictures in here, but if you go, I'll allow you guys to read through the narrative, but if you want to go to the very final pages where we have our balance sheet and our operating statement, those, yeah, right before that, that's our, right there. That's the...
I don't know, we're having all kinds of things happen today that we typically don't have, so.
Okay, so it's going
Here
to
it
start.
comes again, almost.
Okay. So at year-end, December, these are unaudited financial statements. We are having our audit in February, and then we'll have final ones in March. We budgeted for a $5.4 million EBITDA year-end, and we hit a $5 million, so we missed our budget, but we still had a successful year. Our revenue over expenses continue to show our expenses are out of control, not because of anything other than inflation. We have higher bills across the board. Our supplies are continually going up. Pharmaceutical supplies are continually costing us more. Our utilities, they're going up. And then our contracted labor has continued to grow as our employee base it's hard to get people to come and work for us, so we have to hire travelers and contract labor to fill that void. So through all of that, we still managed to have a positive bottom line at the end of the year for our financial statements. And our balance sheet has shown a small drop in our finances from prior year to this year, we had about a $1 million difference in our balance sheet, but we are continuing to watch that, monitor that, and we've budgeted for a positive EBITDA this year that we brought to the board in December and was approved. So we plan on having a good year. We do have a good business plan in place, and we will keep moving forward. It's easier if you ask me questions.
Commissioner Copenhaver, do you have any questions? Commissioner Lindsay?
I was able to attend I think it was your November meeting, and there was a term used called the Medicaid cliff.
Yes.
And I see that they're going to end the public health emergency May 11th. What's
Yes.
that do for you guys? What is?
So the Medicaid cliff is just basically what it's saying is during the public emergency, all of our Medicaid patients were grandfathered in during the public emergency. When the public emergency is no longer in place, there's the cliff. Everybody that was on Medicaid is now going to be reevaluated. We have prepared for it. We knew it was coming. We are going to be holding workshops, weekend workshops, evaluating all of our Medicaid patients. We're required to, and then we will get them placed appropriately. Some that were on Medicaid and then didn't qualify but could stay on it during the public emergency will fall off. And then we need to find a place for them, whether it's being able to get insurance on the exchange, or if they qualify for one of the HDC or health discount plans or the Colorado option. My financial counselors are going to be working endlessly and tirelessly on every single patient that comes through our door to make sure that we find a place for them financially in the system so that they are not denied any care. We don't deny care, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we are able to collect some way on the patients that come through, but also make sure that they have good quality care no matter what their means is.
Are you working with our social services department? Because our Medicaid numbers are big.
Yeah, we have some very large Medicaid numbers, and my financial counselors and our director over that, Audrey, will be working closely with all of every community ability that we have. We're going to be reaching out and making sure that we're working with everybody.
Great, thank you. Gerald, do you have anything?
The only thing if we can get a copy of that financial record and stuff, it'd be good. And then, we'll find somebody to help serve on your board. We'll try to get somebody involved.
I'm Lisa, the CNO. Good to see you. I think from an operations standpoint, just wanted to update you. Julie and Jeannie have kind of touched as far as healthcare and all the challenges. So our staff has definitely felt it. I think we have a tremendous staff that have held strong through it all. So very proud of our team at the hospital. Our ER visits have increased by 30% this year, so those acuities are higher as well. That affects us very much. So looking at different staffing models, building more of our student base back in the hospital, building from within. So a lot of effort towards that, thinking outside the box. We hired a paramedic within the ER, so moving in our different qualifications to really help our patients as well, and that's been working really well. One thing that our Director of Pharmacy, Mark Meyer, wanted to share, one of the community services we've provided is our outpatient pharmacy has serviced over $1 million in free care to those who qualify within the community. So really tremendous outreach to the community. Our quality department has really built a council for suicide prevention and worked with our partners here in the community as well to get as much information out and resources. So very proud of that project. We've had regulatory surveys to maintain our licensure. So we did have our 3-year trauma designation survey in the fall. That went well. That does certify us for 3 years for our level 4 trauma center within the community. They did highlight how impressive our EMS system is for our communities. So it's nice when, surveyors from large cities come in and really highlight what we do for our communities. So great to hear from that aspect. And then we did have our regulatory survey for CMS certification. DNV is that surveyor that we use for that. They were just here at the beginning of the month, and that survey went well as just like the trauma. We are certified for 3 years, but every year they do come for a recertification. So going through all those processes, but otherwise going well.
That 30% increase in emergency visits, is that related to doctor shortages?
No, honestly, some of it is during COVID, less people came in, which was a problem. So some of that is just people coming in for services. But what we've seen this year is really RSV, flu, just increased illness for one reason or another. We're working on patient satisfaction, so I'm glad to see that increase. It's a good problem because that way our community are coming to our emergency department, and I want to increase that service.
I've been surprised how full our hospital has been the last few months, especially because we had a little bit of COVID, but mostly it's been other things. So a lot of people having surgeries, a lot of sick people, RSV, flu, heart issues.
Slip and fall.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, they get out in the snow. Yeah, I see that little sling on your
Well, that
arm.
wasn't slip and fall. The other guy he was slip and fall.
Oh,
Slip and
okay.
fall and just
Age.
TMB.
Age.
Oh. We are, what I've found in the last year, I've been here a year now, is that we all are new in our positions, but we inherited some debt from the past that is still being cleaned up. And one of the big challenges we had this year was with Medicare just deciding to take a couple $1 million this fall out of what they pay us. They're supposed to pay us every day, and they deposit money for services we've done. They went for about a month and didn't pay us in September. So, and it's all money that we owe back, but it's from a long time ago. So we're going to get those things cleaned up. And this year, 2022, was a cleanup year. And now we need to move forward. It's not that everything is gone, but we have a better handle on what is out there. And making sure that we're keeping up, paying our old stuff off. And we have a plan that we're working between SHS and MCHD to hopefully be able to finance some additional changes to the building and upgrades that really need to happen to the infrastructure of the building. So look forward to that.
The last question I have, and
Yeah.
I don't know if really it's a question, but this whole Humana thing that
Mhm.
everybody's hearing about, how is
Oh.
that going to impact you guys? Because if they're not, I'll leave it at that. How is it going to impact you all?
So we have struggled with working with Humana for the last couple of years, where they wouldn't pay us correctly. They wouldn't even pay us according to the contract that we had with them. And so we have over $1 million that they still owe us. So last June, we gave notice to them that we're not going to participate. We're not going to be in network with Humana anymore. And they instead of fixing the problems, and we've been working with them to fix those problems a lot, but instead of that, they decided to pull out of our county and then announced a progression to where they're going to pull out of all of Colorado now. So there are other options for people to choose from that are really good as well. I know it's a pain to switch, but they are not a good partner. Even though they may treat the person, the individual, well, they're not taking care of that individual by paying their bills for them. And that's basically what insurance's number one responsibility is.
Can you send them to the collectors?
Yeah.
I think that must be kind of what you did.
Kind of. So what we did was we addressed with Humana the issues. We have about 457 patients on Humana that are direct Humana that we're helping them convert to other insurance programs, and we're working with Humana. We, instead of going to collections, we work through the office of the insurance commission, and they help us with that's our way to get to Humana. We're not the only hospital that suffers with the problems, and what Humana was doing was they were down coding. So something would come through the ER, they would say, we would have it at a level 3, they would down code it to a 1, pay us a 1. They owe us that money. They also did some other things that had to do with contractual issues. They're only allowed to go back 1 year and claw back money. They've been going back 2 years. So they have quite a bit of money they owe us on top of the claims that about $1 million that they haven't paid us. So it's going to be several years in the making to get the money back from them. But because our hospital made that decision to pull out of Humana, the rest of, Mercy's next, and then it's going to be all of Colorado. Keeping in mind that if you are a Humana patient and you come through our ED, we honor it the same as everyone else. We're not in network, but that doesn't mean we'll see anybody and take that insurance through there. We also have several Humana patients that are Medicare patients as well, and we continue to take the Humana and then bill Medicare for the unpaid balance. So just because we're not taking Humana in network doesn't mean that those Humana patients can't come to our hospital or get our services. So it's just a battle that we had to finally say we can't do this any longer financially for the hospital. It's too much money.
Sounds like the DOC for us.
Yeah. That's the Department of Corrections.
Yep.
They only pay what they say they're
Yep.
going to pay.
And they
Yeah. We have a few other insurance companies that we're
50%
battling with.
of what it costs.
But I mean,
And
these insurance companies, they live and breathe on credit ratings, and if you ding their credit, they're going to show up.
Yeah. So we're going to continue to, I think as our world changes, we're going to continue to see these battles. We try to stay in front of it. We are working daily to make sure that we're being paid according to our contract. We have quite a few contracts that they're not wanting to pay us more than Medicare rates. We have a contract with them. So we're continually fighting the insurance battle. That is our biggest battle right now, is being paid according to a contract. Speaking to the choir here, aren't I?
So, go back to the basics. How many days cash on hand?
So our covenant is 80 days. Currently, just in December, we hit 73 days. That was simply to make sure that we have our AP paid at keeping our lights on and all of that. We worked with the bank to make sure that we were well within our rights to do that. The bank covenant states that we have to be 80 days cash on hand. If we fall out of that 80 days for 4 consecutive quarters, then the bank comes in and says, no, you're out of compliance. But currently we're continuing to stay within we're still at around 73 days. We're catching up all our AP. Like I said, our inflation is killing us, so we're trying to restructure what we're doing inside so that we can keep the expenses down. And then on the backside, we're getting the collections up, trying to get paid according to the contracts to get the cash in the door. We anticipate about March, we're going to get back up to the 81 day. So we're not concerned. We're keeping our bills paid, and we're staying within the covenants as the best we can. So.
Okay.
The only other thing I have is, I occasionally go back and look at some of the old records. And our records from SHS in its foundation and stuff are way beyond or way short of what you guys are operating now as far as a board. Our records, when it was first founded, up to 15 members to be publicly elected. So could you bring us up to speed and get us your...
Two boards,
Yeah,
too.
well, this was SHS. This wasn't...
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it wasn't
So,
NCHD.
we need to send you a copy of the current bylaws.
Yeah. And,
That we can do.
and are you updating them anytime soon? So.
No,
Okay.
they made one small change last year, but they're, in the year that I've been here, they've been pretty much the same. So we need to get you a copy of that one, the version that we have
Okay.
right now. Mhm. And it currently says up to 7
Yeah.
in ours. And they're not elected, they're appointed by, they're kind of self-sustaining like any 501c3. MCHD has elections for their board members. Mhm. It's my understanding that they have several
7.
seats
Yeah.
coming up soon, yeah. So,
Yeah, the last I had anything to do with SHS board was way long ago, and there was 7 members, and they were publicly elected.
that's interesting, wow. Well, we go forward, and they're
Yeah.
very dedicated board members. Boy, they get paid nothing, except for some food sometimes. They're very dedicated volunteers, yeah. Well,
Okay.
thank you.
You bet.
We
Thank you.
appreciate your support.
Thank you all for coming in today. I appreciate it. Yep. All right, next on our agenda, we have a water update. We have Randy Carver, Ken Curtis, Chris Garner, and Corey Schmidt, I believe. You guys can all come up.
Gather around.
May I have to share a mic? Good morning.
All right.
Okay. So, who wants to go first? And at least we have a good snow amount out there, and from our emergency manager, we have basically 30% of what our average is. So that's a good start. But I know that's not the only thing that we're facing and the challenges that we have right now. So Ken, I'll go ahead, and you look like you're ready to go, so I'm going to let you go.
Yeah, like you say, we all watch the snow this time of year. It's been fun. We're up around 140 for our local basin, but the next 3 months will tell us, what kind of year we're going to have. So we'll wait and see a little closer to April 1st. On the big river, the whole Colorado River basin's at about 80% of peak, 70 to 80%, and we're at 80%. So we need to make up that next 20% at least to have a good year here. But that's also playing out on the larger Colorado River issues that I'll touch in a minute. Locally, what I see, there's still a lot of dollars floating around, federal and state, that may source from the feds. A couple of us have gone to the roundtable and the Colorado Water Conservation Board for funds. We're looking at some ASO flights this year. We're looking at a nozzle exchange program. MBI put in a project a couple of months ago. I know High Desert put in a project, hopes to work with farmers, I believe, in the McElmo area. We also have Colorado Ag Water Alliance working in the area. That's a coalition from around the state. They're working on some drought resiliency projects up in the full service area. That's kind of a new buzzword, which makes some sense in the they're trying to make operations with these hydrologic challenges economically feasible. And then the high desert grant, I think, will be along those lines in McKilmo. So ultimately, as a water district, we're more of a wholesale purveyor, moving the water, although we have customers up north. But I know the Utes likewise are chasing money for some infrastructure upgrades. And how do they plan for these ups and downs? What are they going to do with their markets? So there's a lot more crop trials that I think you're going to see in the near future. Get away from what we've historically been raised on. That's a consistent water supply and a consistent export hay crop. MVI with the senior water rights will do better and probably not have quite those kinds of changes that you see. Then moving on to the larger Colorado River Basin issues. So we're getting a lot of this money out, or it's coming down. People are trying to push it out locally. The state is trying to make everybody more economically viable with these variable water supplies, because they're seeing it on the Yampa to some extent, higher water numbers, but they're seeing the variability. And then you've got all these pressures coming from lower basin to the front range. So everybody's trying to make do with less. Just last night, 6 of the 7 states released their proposal to Commissioner Tootin on the supplemental EIS, and I think the Upper Basin has successfully at least proposed that this remains a lower basin problem of use from the crashing reservoirs in Powell and Meade. And clearly, Reclamation does not want to drop it below power pool for both structural and power issues.
Tell them to quit letting water out.
Well, down to the wire, but I believe that ultimately is the conclusion. The problem is the 7th state, you might guess California, who has a large allocation and largely tied to ag in the Imperial Valley and some other lower basin areas. That's where the water is. They're kind of under the gun in how they allocate those cuts from the less water. So they're kind of starting, they've got the answer, let less water out. The second answer is one they're arguing about. And I guess Arizona and Nevada ganged up on California and said it better come out of California at this time. Although they're taking some additional cuts too, but you can guess the big ones are being forced on California. So that's kind of the lay of the land. We're still waiting to see. The Bureau runs their numbers for the next 3-4 months, and we start seeing stuff come out in the summer, early summer. With the Sierras getting a snowpack, I think LA area, the metropolitan water types are counting on that state water project, kind of bail them out. There's some concern others are going to look at our snowpack to bail them out, since they just got 2 feet up in Steamboat, and those numbers are going up. So I don't know, there's still a lot of jockeying around that. Don't see any local impacts, but the state's pushing a system conservation pilot program, trying to pay for safe consumptive use. Don't know how that's going to come out, so a lot of wait and see, mostly for us.
So are they gonna, they're gonna actually start that pilot program?
Yes, applications are due today or tomorrow.
Is it a 1-year pilot program, 3-year, 2-year, what?
It's a couple of years, $125 million. They have it through the end of the interim guidelines that expire in 2026. We got mixed messages. It just came out in December. So as an organization, we passed on it. Montezuma Valley Irrigation had a conversation. They didn't want to get involved. So we both passed. But that doesn't stop individuals from possibly applying. But as a state, they kind of also had this deadline that came out last night, and they didn't want to get into system conservation unless the lower basin was cooperating on less water out of Powell. So it was kind of a balancing act. So it appears maybe they'll go forward with it. But if you hadn't done much before, it's kind of hard to pull one of those together. Grand Valley was poster child for the last round in Colorado 4 or 5 years ago, 6. Anyway, they did some pilots some time ago and knew how to do them, but they're tough to pull together. So no, I don't see a lot of activity in this area, but we'll know in a few weeks, I suspect.
Okay.
Longer term, there are commitments along that line. They are trying to save, and demand management will probably come back. They're going to keep pursuing it through the next year. Let's put it that way. And then, Utah appears supportive. Nobody else is committed. And that's a little bit more than system conservation, but same idea. And they got that federal money sitting out there supplying it. I think on the good news, they're also throwing some money towards gauges and other instrumentation. Could end up with soil moisture monitoring. Is everybody familiar with the coagment networks around the area? They're an old CSU product. They're still viable. There's one up at the Yellow Jacket Farm. There's one down on Schwintz Farm. There's one down at Toyac, one up at Dove Creek. They're a little weather station, but they're focused on what crop needs. So they got the wind, solar, temperature, and some soil moisture. Well, they've got newer versions that look at what the consumptive use of crops are, and you'll probably see those sprouting up around the state over the next year or two. So they are taking some of this federal money, and at least it's not just going to go out the door in a one-time shot, and hopefully go to forecasting, soil moisture monitoring, hopefully in some of the mountains, and some on-field type work all over the west slope. So
Is that new weather radar going to help you at all? Help this system at all? Do you know?
yeah, it should a little bit, primarily for our cloud seeding operations.
Yeah.
I think the emergency folks will get a lot more out of it too, in the sense we'll have more accurate, timely knowledge of what's coming in a little bit more. But we're still going to be a little bit shadowed when they stick it out there at the airport. Not too bad. Closes a hole a bunch, but I think there's a little bit of a gap behind Sleeping Ute. And they're not going to see down in the valley floor. They're still going to have to cross over the La Platas. So it's still a little bit of a problem, but they'll have a pretty good view straight west and around the south end of the Ute and see what's coming out of our southwestern storms. So it's best, to be honest, over in N.M.P.M Valley, or right there. The best shot will be right up Durango, up north of there towards Silverton and parts west. So a lot happening, but pretty much as you open, snow's good for today, and we're watching the next couple of months. Looks like Powell's on the right track, release less, but there's still a lot of jockeying going around, and we'll probably have further discussions on system conservation, pilot projects, and/or demand management. It's not done yet. But longer term, a lot of push on making things economically viable with less. And if nothing else, the last 20 years have told us it's going to be a yo-yo, a roller coaster ride, if nothing else. So that's kind of the way districts looking at it, and going forward.
All right, thank you. All right, Randy, Water Congress. Commissioner Copenhaver was supposed to be there, but the ice captured him and he was not able to make the flight, so.
He didn't even call me and tell me why. I was looking around for him. Ken and I were both up there, and I didn't get to talk to you at all. I think he was busy. Ken was. Well, I don't know what to add to. Thanks a lot, Ken. Yeah. The biggest thing is the funding, probably, that's out there available. I mean, the dollars are pretty extreme. I think there was a group called Environmental Justice, Water Justice. Congress gave them over $700 million to address communities that are poor and marginalized. And I'm sure we have some of those communities around here.
We got a whole county like that. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm trying to be careful here, but there is funding out there for somebody who wants to chase it. And you have to fill out some sort of, I mean, you can get online and find it, but you have to fill out some sort of questionnaire, and the questionnaire leads you to if you're qualified. So it's probably worth somebody in the county to look into that, because there is a lot of money. I know Pueblo's looking into it. The one thing that was interesting is the water coming into the town of Pueblo is clean. The water going out of Pueblo is dirty. And they were somehow blaming poor and marginalized communities. Anyway, I don't know how they're going to wrestle with that, but they do have a lot of money, so they have some power right now to throw around. Anyway, I thought you guys might want to know about that. The PL 566, I don't even know much about that, but Mike Preston is looking into that for the Ute Farm, or the Ute Tribe. So if you have some extra grant writers in the county, they could be busy for the next year, because the way I understood it, the window of opportunity to get this money, and a lot of money, is it'll never come back again. Within the next 2 years, you better go after it. Talking about the efforts trying to shore up water rights and stuff, I found that the Northern Water District is probably a great example of what they're doing on that side. And there are two projects that I want you guys to know about. One of them is called the N.I.S.P., it's Northern Integrated Supply Project. That project is actually not developing west slope water. It's actually developing east slope water. So back in 1980, they, I think it's the Castabooter, filed for water rights. And it's taken all this time to start developing those. So that project's a $2 billion project. And they're currently building 2 reservoirs. One of them's 170,000 acre feet reservoir. The other is, I think it's 85,000 acre feet. And what surprised me is they may be those large reservoirs, but there's only 40,000 acre feet of water that come out of those. So the big deal now in Colorado, because everything's fully appropriated, well, I guess maybe not fully, pretty close, but they're firming up these projects, which simply means in a 10-year span, if you have 5 years that are below average, well, you need the other 5 years in storage to cover those shortages. So they're spending $2 billion, and I believe that might be construction only. That's not the permitting. So permitting started back in 1980.
Yeah.
So that, I know that there's some talk in the community. They're kind of mad at East Slope for taking West Slope water. I mean, that's a big deal in the coffee shop. But that is fully developing East Slope water. The other project they have is called Chimney Hollow, and they just received their permitting, their full permitting, after 20 years of work on that. And that is West Slope water. It's basically, you could call it new water, but it was always contemplated at coming out of storage. So it started in 2003, and they're building it now. That is actually a 90,000 acre foot reservoir, and it's so involved they have to realign 7 miles of Highway 287. So that's new West Slope water, but it's not new West Slope water. It's contemplated way back when. That project is a $600 million project for just the construction. Another $400 million for the permitting and all of that stuff. So I thought that was a pretty big deal. That is another firming project. It's called Windy Gap. It's one of the original Big Thompson River projects. But that only firms up 30,000 acre feet. So
That's not much.
it's not much for $1 billion.
No.
But that's the reality in water shortage communities, just like in the Truckee and Nevada, I think.
I know, but we're talking 30,000 acre feet, and they're releasing millions of acre feet. It doesn't,
Well-
that math doesn't work out real well. You
Yeah.
can't, 30,000 to 1 million, there's a big gap there of acre feet of water.
Well, that's the thing. There's a cumulative in the state of Colorado, 7.5 million acre feet going past Lee's Ferry down
Right.
in Powell. But what I'm getting at is that every community has to wrestle with their set of rules. And it looks to me like prior appropriation is not going anywhere. I mean, I know Don Ament, he's really concerned about a budget, a ballot initiative where the people can vote out prior appropriation. And I think we all understand the concerns there, because some wonky things have happened with that. But the biggest thing is I don't think prior appropriation is going anywhere. So that's your overall law. And what I found interesting was that the policies concerning Northern, DWCD, MVI, everybody that's involved, they work within prior appropriation to accomplish what needs to happen for the better of the people.
So what I'm hearing is, from both of you, is there's an attempt to chip away at prior appropriation,
Well, I think
which is a
people
real
that,
danger to this community.
it's a danger to the state of Colorado
Yeah.
with a ballot measure, which, a lot of things have gotten through. But Don's biggest concern was that ballot measure that would somehow get in there. I think that there's no water bill that's ever passed without the Colorado Water Congress approval. So the Congress is pretty powerful. I don't see it happening, do you?
No, but I think, like you pointed out, they're worried about a ballot initiative that goes around your normal legislative process. And it's been attempted in the past. It's been almost a decade. And it follows the public trust doctrine that California established some decades ago and took a big hit on prior appropriation and took the water supply out of LA significantly. So, yeah, it's a real threat out there.
Going back to some other things that I thought were interesting is there's a lot of talk about the Colorado River, and there's some new guidelines coming out in, is it 25 or 26?
Out in 25, start applying in 27, really. 26 will be driven by current practices.
Yeah, which that goes back to prior appropriation in Colorado, but policy decisions with everybody kind of involved. The most interesting thing that it was one guy that said it, there's no such thing as a compact call on the river. And I think everybody, including me, I've always heard of the call.
Yeah.
There is no call. It's not going to happen because it's non-existent. What we have with the 1922 compact is a unique contract. That's all it is. So every, how many years is it that they revisit the rules committee on that?
Well, that's what the supplemental EIS, the 07 guidelines overlay the compact. That's how we're operating, how we got into the problems. Then they did the DCP in 2019, was supposed to help the interim guidelines keep the reservoir safe. Didn't work. Now we're in the supplemental EIS. And so that next round that implements about 27, but adopts probably 25, 26, that's
Yeah.
the next round of review.
And what was interesting is Rebecca Mitchell, the CWCB director, she seemed kind of upset because Colorado has done, to me, we're kind of the leader in how all this talk has been happening. In the meantime, below Lee's Ferry, they delivered 10 million acre feet below, down into the lower basin, whereas we haven't reached 7.5 million yet. So Colorado's kind of done with trying to help solve the problem. It really is kind of in the lower basin's hands to grapple with, because I don't think that's going to change as far as the division of the water. So remember, the Colorado River Compact is a contract. It's a unique contract that is going to be revisited from time to time. And then the CWCB did put out a Colorado water plan. That it was unanimously approved by that board. I haven't read it. I'm not going to. But anyway, going back to the northern and the value of water, it hadn't hit Montezuma County, and it won't for many, many years, just based on population. But in Colorado Big Thompson, which is the northern, I saw a chart where in 2007, water was going for about $7,500 an acre foot, and now it's reaching close to $60,000 an acre foot, because they're fully appropriated. And most of that water that was originally for agriculture is municipal now. So things have changed quite a bit over there, but you can tell by the money that they're putting into it. To me, they're up to the challenge, and it goes back to that firming and doing more with less. And if you think about what Montezuma County has in as far as their water portfolio, we have 200,000 acre feet right in our county. A huge asset that we need to take care of. And I'm not saying take care of like, hold water in a glass and you're holding it so tight that it spills out, because we do have that prior appropriation doctrine that's pretty powerful, and we need to view our neighbors as partners in how to solve the problem. Like, I'm hoping DWCD and MVI can work that out. So I guess the other thing that I was going to say was, in that Congress, one of the project managers for, I don't even know where he worked, Denver Water or something like that, he pointed to the county commissioner and said, make sure you know your 1041 land use regulations, because you can get into a jangle over that. Anyway, I thought that was interesting, because I work for you guys, and I thought, well, point your guys' attention to the 1041 and how big it is in those permittings of pipelines and stuff like that. Anyway, I think that's all I had.
Okay, all right.
Thanks,
Question?
Randy. No.
Okay, all right, we'll move right along.
Hi, my name's Brenda Funk. I'm the newest of the district techs. I'm with High Desert. I believe we're here today to let you guys know what the district techs do. We help NRCS provide farmers and landowners with the tools and knowledge to conserve and maintain and restore the natural resources of their lands and improve the health of their operations for the future. If they come in and do an application, our job is to assist and help them with the irrigation designs for center pivots, side rolls, and the K-lines. We can do livestock pipeline designs, cross fencing, and forestry. We see that from the start to the end.
We start with helping the planning process, going out and doing the surveys of the property, being in the office, designing the project with AutoCAD, drafting and figuring the hydraulics. This is to help on saving on the water so that they can get the best use out of their irrigation. Then we do the staking with AutoCAD and then go back out to the property, all with staying in close contact with the farmers so that they can know when they can start their construction. And this is all done with NRCS standards. And with this being done, in the past 5 years, the district techs have completed 66 projects for a total of financial contributions to landowners in EQIP cost share dollars of $4.2 million. These completed projects will conserve water over 1,500 irrigated acres and save over 2,000 tons of salt from being added to the Colorado River system. So I think that's about all I need to say. You guys have any questions?
Do you work just within that district, right? You don't cross the district boundaries?
I work with just High Desert.
Just the
Yes,
High
and these
Desert.
guys are with Mancos.
Corey and I are with the Mancos Conservation District.
Okay.
So it's countywide, but we have stepped out into San Miguel a little bit when other offices need assistance.
Gotcha.
But mostly within Montezuma County.
Okay. All
Now,
right.
you guys are way understaffed.
Yes, we are way understaffed. Send us some people.
Well, like I was saying, grant writers, if we could get some more grant writers, we can help spend that money that's out there. It's just sitting there.
So it's not only a engineering design assistance that we provide, but it's also a financial assistance. So when people come and apply for a project to be done, we do offer a cost share on each system. So make it more affordable for the farmers and ranchers within Montezuma County.
Gotcha.
I think Summit Ridge would be served well by somebody that could get some of that money, because talk about firming up their supply.
Yes.
They really need it, and I can't help but think that Montezuma County, the tax base would be greatly improved by firming up that supply. They've got about 7,000 or 8,000 acre feet is all, but if you firm that supply up to where it's consistent, and I'm talking every year, and because we farm up there also, every year, if you have 2 more weeks, whether it's 60-day irrigation or 20 days, you need 2 more weeks all the time. And it wouldn't take much to get 2 more weeks out of that system. So I'm hoping somebody will write some grants on that, because it would help our bottom line, my company's bottom line, certainly the county's bottom line. But there are so many side roads that are not even used anymore.
Yeah, I've seen them
And-
idled up there.
And that's some that's some really good soil. I mean,
The
that's
Summit
really
Ridge
good,
area, yeah, they're,
really strong soil.
a lot of them are not even turning.
So I want you guys to hire a grant writer. Get some of that money.
I think Mancos is looking into a grant to try to either rebuild or repair the diversion structure for Summit Lake, as well as possibly even working on the dam as well, because I think the dam has got some issues that we're looking at repairing. So as far as the Mancos Conservation District, I do think we're looking into a grant to fund some of that.
We do have a grant writer, and have for a couple years now. We had one, lost one. But we do have one. We're successful with the road project, securing some funds for a bridge that crosses a drainage ditch out there at Alkali Creek, so our grant writers are really tied up with everything that they're doing for the county. Not that, I'm not saying it's not important, but as we're talking about that, one of the programs that we run within the county is our free Atify program, which does nothing but get rid of salt cedars, get rid of Russian olives, which are large consumption of water. Now, they're not million acre feet of water, obviously, but it is significant for this community to get rid of those. And it seems like we have to try to find out where we're gonna get grant funding for that every year, because it's always, the state wants a noxious weed program, another unfunded mandate, and say you have to do this, but then they never give us the dollars to actually fund the program. So we do work consistently with the grant writers to try and figure out what we can do to move the community forward, so.
Well, that environmental justice, water justice money that's out there, that would fit right in here because it is water justice. And if you can find ways to get more water out of your system, it will benefit poor and marginalized communities. I really think there's some opportunity for money in this county.
Okay.
Also, NRCS does have programs for Rezoning and
And I think we chase every one of those through our noxious weed
Yeah.
program. We really try hard to keep that program working at a great rate, and I think they do a great job. And she gave us a presentation last month, I think, of what they've already eradicated, and, it makes a difference,
It's
but
a losing battle.
gosh, it just seems like they're growing way quicker than we can get after them. So, I hear you. All of that just to say, I get it. We hear you. But it takes everybody. It really takes everybody. And to be a good steward of a land and your property, and you know what kind of degradation that's doing to your own property, I would think that some type of personal responsibility would kick in, and that you would start, taking care of some of that, a little bit of it, just to be a good steward of the land. Anyway.
How's that water line over in Mancos? Is it about complete? Is it stalled out?
Talking about the Weber?
Yeah.
Or the Root and Raleigh?
The Weber?
So the Weber hasn't got started yet. That's kind of stalled out for funds. Pipeline costs have gone so high that they're waiting for them to either come down or get additional grants to try to support that. But they did just complete the Root and Raleigh pipeline, I think, at the end of last summer, beginning of last summer, something like that. So they are working on it, just kind of on hold.
Well, from where we sit, none of our costs are coming down.
Yeah.
I mean, we had funds secured for the bridge I just talked about. When we actually went out to got our costs back, we were not anywhere close, and had to go back out for funding again the second time, and we'll be going to or we may be out of right now, just because the costs are so high. So, I'm not.
That's a poor and marginalized community. Calm down. Go for that money.
All right. Anything else?
Gerald's probably told you, but I'd make a plug. March 31st is the Southwestern seminar. I think they're having it down at the Sky Ute. It's grown so big they had to move out of Durango. It's a good time to talk to your Southwestern neighbors. I know you talk to them on other levels. Cleve Simpson, our senator, is very active in all the water issues at the legislature. Water Congress has a weekly meeting, and we're tracking on a few things. Cleve's very active, so I'm sure he'll debrief you after the session, but he certainly knows a lot about the Rio Grande Valley and water, and so he's great having him in the Senate. A couple of resources. The water plan, Randy brought up a lot of good talks, so you do get to see what's going on. The state demographer says we got another 1.8 million people coming by 2050. Good news is they're on the Front Range, and that drives all that N.M.P.M, $60,000 an acre foot type stuff. Not too much on our end. Our biggest municipal concern, Stuff Creek, and they're trying to get their ducks in a row. Not too worried about Cortez and Montezuma water, but something to keep your eye on. Right now, ag's the one taking the big hit, but so yeah, we'll be back and talk more about system conservation and demand management, but I'm sure a lot of this will come up at that March 31st if you can make it.
Okay. Well, hopefully Commissioner Copenhaver is, well, not sure he'll be healed by then, but he'll be on crutches. He'll be able to be there for sure.
We'll wheel him around or something.
Yeah, we'll get him around.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all. Have a great day. Appreciate the update.
Thank you.
Okay, Lori, I see you in the back patiently waiting.
Okay.
Lori, do you want to just take a brief second to explain to the commissioners what this is?
I think it's more for the public so that they know and they can hear it but go ahead.
This is the budget resolution for 2022. And food stamps was overspent and admin was overspent, so we had to show line items that were decreased and increased.
Okay.
Can you pull that up on the screen, Travis?
As far as this document? No, I don't have this document.
Okay.
I would so move we adopt a resolution to change the 2022 budget number 3-2023. It is resolved that this 24th day of January 2023, Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners authorizes expenditures in excess of the amount approved in the social services budget for the calendar year 2022.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept resolution for the change of the 2022 budget, number 3-2023, for the social services. Any further discussion?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And we did the record of proceeding and the financials last week? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was your
Okay. Jerry, Ms. Frizell, we have a liquor license renewal for Triple H and J Inc., doing business as Schmitty's Liquors.
Triple H and J Incorporated, doing business as Smitty Liquors at 10255 Highway 491 in Cortez, Colorado. We've got the report back from the sheriff's office, and we've had no violations against them.
Okay.
Jerry, if you wouldn't mind just continue to do what you've been doing, just send it over to me, and then I can just look at it. But yeah, that's the best way.
I would so move we approve the liquor license renewal for Smitty's Liquor at, there we go, 10255 Highway 491, Cortez.
I'm gonna.
Okay, I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded to accept and sign the retail liquor fermented malt beverage liquor license renewal application for Smitty's Liquors located at 10255 Highway 491, Cortez, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right, and the last thing we have is a resolution for the Road 16 and Y project.
So commissioners, the road department reached out to me. They wanted me to draft up a resolution just confirming substantial completion of the Road Y and Road 16 reconstruction project that was done. In essence, this is a resolution that just was requested by DOLA. This is something that they need for their records. And so what this resolution is just a resolution confirming that that project has been substantially completed. And so pretty straightforward.
And this is basically a project we've been working on now for what, four years? Four-ish years, to get all of that out there in the Pleasant View area, squared away with with the DOLA funds that we have received. So just a little bit more on that. So any further discussion? We don't have a number. Do we have a number? Four. Yep. Do you have it?
I would so move we adopt Resolution 4-2023, confirming substantial completion of the Road Y and Road 16 reconstruction project.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign resolution number 4, 2023, a resolution confirming substantial completion of the Road Y and Road 16 reconstruction project. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Trying to open this one instead of that.
Okay. All right, attorney's report.
So last week I met with a landowner regarding the Road 14 easement. If you'll remember, that's the road that we went out to where that landowner has proposed giving us that additional track of road, deeding that to us, so there will be public access to the BLM land there. Provided her with the documentation. She was going to run it through her legal counsel and hopefully get it signed and get it back to us shortly. So that project is moving along. We've got the survey done. Should have that wrapped up here within the next couple weeks. Yesterday I had a meeting with counsel for the plaintiffs in the Road 41 action. That's the Weber Canyon Road. We met down on Road 41 yesterday morning with members of our road department and had some discussions about possibly getting that matter resolved. That matter is set for the Court of Appeals on February 24th, so we're on a pretty quick timeline. But that was the essence of yesterday's meeting, and we'll see what they come back with. But certainly I'll share that with you as that comes up. But that's where we are at this point in time. Other than that, I don't have anything to report, just a lot of day-to-day stuff that's keeping us busy as always.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Anderson.
Sorry about that. Last week was very busy in the office, day-to-day stuff. The office staff was able to work through some Cassell problems to get everybody's W-2s out and get the finances as it relates to income corrected within the system. The biggest couple of things was I was able to meet with Jessica. We're working on trying to get this process going about the Brownsfield that we have budgeted for helping people get some of their properties cleaned up. So we're working through those processes. And then the biggest thing is on Friday I was able to listen to CCI, and I'll let you discuss it more, but I was really amazed at how much money it's going to, as far as costing the county with unfunded mandates on some of these bills. So I'll let you address some of those, but yeah, it was quite interesting.
Okay, well then I'll address that, and I'll go first this time. Yeah, I spent the week up at the Capitol. I was able to meet with Senator Cleve Simpson Friday morning. We actually had a pretty casual breakfast meeting up there, and he's actually really a good guy, like Randy said, to have up there in our court. Pretty pleased with him. But I spent Thursday, Friday going over bills that are coming our way that are basically all unfunded mandates, and all 64 counties that are there at this meeting. That's something that we all fight against, because it doesn't matter what county you're at, whether you're a large county or a small county. You know, the state can't keep making laws that cost the counties more money that we just don't have them. If they have them, they've got to backfill them, and it's basically a law that says if they're going to make the law, they have to be able to fund it. So that was the real crux of the whole discussion on all of the bills that are coming out. If you all are interested, there is a share of the bills, and I will share it with you all. I won't. My handwriting left-handed is not very good, so my scribbling notes really are kind of horrible. But the greenhouse gas emissions reduction measures is a big deal. Senate Bill 23016, which is going to take a lot of CDOT's time. It deals with land use and natural resources. A lot to be coming out on that. Got to meet a lot of the new commissioners that started this January, so that was actually kind of nice, seeing who some of them that were replaced. One of the biggest ones that I kind of thought was a little bit interesting was House Bill 231115, was a repeal of prohibition of local residential rent control. Not necessarily that it affects us here, but it could. A lot of discussion that will be coming out on that. We took a monitor position on that with CCI, so all 64 counties, as we vote, it's one county, one vote, and that's how we come up to a resolution of what we're going to do, whether we support, monitor, or deny it. Most of the positions that we took this time, we want to stay at the table. We would take an amend position just so that we can have the opportunity to be part of the discussion as these bills move forward, because a lot of times they will accept a resolution or an amendment, and it makes it a little bit more palatable to what they are doing up there. Those were probably some of the bigger ones. I know that it hasn't really gotten to it yet, but I think the energy, people are going to take a lot of hits this year also, but none of those as of right now. And I will leave that at that. A lot of bills that are coming out, I think we're at 160 some bills already introduced, and we're just now at the end of the January, so we'll probably hit the 650 to 700 mark again this year, which is 120-day session is just really tough to be able to monitor all of these bills. Had our workshop yesterday afternoon. Had only one item on there. It was a discussion for the extension of the Dolores Town Trail in our right-of-way on County Road 31. It goes to the parking lot right now on W Road. We just cross over into the Forest Service, but they want to go ahead now and finalize that extension. It's about a half a mile, I think we said, which will get us across Butler's Corner and then back into the Forest Service there, so that we can keep the hikers, the bikers, joggers off the roadway. It keeps them safer, specifically around that corner. It is a high-speed corner, believe it or not, and the more we can keep off that roadway, the better off we are as a county. So pretty much gave them the green light to go ahead with that as far as working within our right-of-way yesterday. And that is all that I have. Commissioner Lindsay.
Yeah, like Commissioner Candelaria said, I was here also for the work session. I did attend the city council meeting last Tuesday, and they didn't have much on their agenda, but what did kind of show up is just a point of interest. The Holiday Inn has sold, and Justin Vasterling was there reporting on that. But that's about it, besides phone calls and meetings in the grocery store.
All right, Commissioner Copenhaver.
Yeah, I just want to relay to everybody, be careful on the ice. Since my accident, it's really cripples you up and hampers whatever you can get done. So be careful out there.
Okay, with that, we have come to the conclusion of this meeting. We will be back at 1:30 as a Board of Health, and we have a discussion there. If you're interested, come on back, come and listen to fentanyl. So with that,
Motion to adjourn.
second. Been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dexter, how are you?